had me at Cello, Cello. You had me at Cello. You had me at Cello. Oh, you had me. Hey, everybody. 5 o'clock on a Friday already. And that means time for another episode of Cello Chat. This is another one of the special ones where I get to interview and be interviewed by one of the current students at UW Whitewater. So today that is Michael Knoernschild.
That's right. Yep.
All right.
My name's Michael. I'm from Mukwonago. I've been playing cello for 10 years now. I started in fourth grade. Um, I didn't know what to choose at first. I remember going home one day to my mom with the sheet that had all the options on it, and I was like, "Mom, I'm not sure what to choose. I don't even know if I want to." And she's like, "You should do the cello because it's my favorite instrument." So I'm like, "Okay, good enough." So yeah, that's how I started playing cello. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'd play in the orchestra and you'd play solos at solo ensemble.
Yep,
At, at,
definitely. Yeah.
at what point did you decide to major in music?
Um, I decided to major or think about it during spring break of my senior year. I
Wow.
wasn't quite sure what to do. I was working in the restaurant. I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do when I graduate. And then I just kept thinking music has such an impact on my life. I'm like, I might as well just try it. And I'm glad I did.
Nice. Yeah, you're doing very well so far. I should mention Michael's a freshman. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
off to an excellent start, I must say.
Thank you.
And then another thing, of course, it's always fun too. You are another what do you call it? Grand student, a student of a student of mine. I think you're
Yep.
the
Yeah.
think you're the fifth one, and yes, that does make me feel old, but it's a great feeling all the same.
Yeah.
So Alexa Zakutansky and Dale Weimer there in Mukwonago
Yep.
are doing a bang up job, excellent job. And Alexa is big into cello ensemble music. So
Correct.
you played all 4 years in a cello ensemble there?
I played 3 years. We didn't have one our first year because of COVID,
Oh,
but
COVID, right. Yeah.
yeah. My sophomore, junior, senior year, yes, I did.
All right. I remember coming out and working with you all, and that was a lot of fun too. There's some really
Yeah,
great cello ensemble repertoire. And now you get to play in the cello ensemble at UW Whitewater.
that's right, and I love it too.
So, yeah, what do you think are some of the best benefits to your cello playing that you get specifically from cello ensemble playing?
Um, I think not only does this apply to high school as well, being a freshman, but in college where everybody is more advanced and understands music, if you're around upperclassmen, you get to see, how they work and how more advanced they are. And I think that's a great thing to have and to look at. And not only that, you can ask them. You can ask questions. So
Nice.
I think that's what it is.
All right. All right. Yeah, I have to say, there's something about most groups of cellists where we tend to be gregarious and friendly and supportive. Not that other instruments aren't, but
Yeah,
sometimes you go in and you think, is this going to be a competitive sort of situation where,
yeah, I was really nervous about that
but it's not,
in
right?
college. No, it's not,
Yeah, it's not.
thankfully.
Yeah, excellent. Outstanding. All right. So out of the just kind of running tally that I keep of frequently asked questions that I get from school visits and through my website and such, you have another set. So let's go ahead and get to those.
Yeah. So the questions I have is, how do you play how do you play in extended fourth position without any like finger pain or hand pain,
Right,
wrist?
right. Yeah. Now, sometimes when I go out to schools with Leanne, for example, we get more string general questions, but then in cello sectionals, it'll be,
Hmm.
very cello specific nitty gritty. And I mean, it is true that in extended positions in first position, it's easy to just reach back with first finger and play on the side of the finger, because your elbow can just be as far forward as it needs to be for this to be a comfortable shape. But once you get down in fourth position, then the body of the instrument is in the way, at least to a sizable degree, of the elbow getting there. One of the big advantages that we have is that the half steps aren't as big in fourth position, so we're not stretching as far in the first place. But I think that's one of those places where, if insofar as a student is still clamping, we talked about this in cello seminar with vibrato not too long ago, but when the thumb is clamping, that is just about bound to either it's going to cause some sort of discomfort in the hand and maybe make it out of tune as well. Whereas when it just can hang there, then it's a lot easier to get that needed distance and not feel like you're putting the hand under the stress that can lead to pain. So that hanging feeling. And fortunately, in fourth position, that's often our springboard into the higher positions anyway. And sometimes it's handy just to go ahead and not have the thumb be all the way tucked around behind the neck, but to come out to the side a little bit. And that also allows you to get the elbow up there and just hang. Definitely. Position. You can go from regular position to extended position with the weight on the hand. So I think it's so often it's about taking the thumb out of the equation. Such a strong muscle.
Yeah. And as you know, we're playing the planets, and I'm also playing Chopin. There's many times where we have an A flat, and I can't go to the A harmonic. I have to go to the A flat, which is half step right below, and I can't get it with the fourth. So I've been working on the extended fourth, and it's tough. It's tough, and it hurts.
Are you allowing the thumb to creep out from behind the neck?
I am, and sometimes I'm doing that, but sometimes I might as well just do my third finger instead of extending. I'll just shift up even.
It is always funny in that area between the neck positions and the high register.
It's goofy.
Yeah, right. And you almost have to decide on a case-by-case basis whether it makes sense to use fourth finger or to use high third. Yeah, for sure. All right, what's the next one?
What is your approach to teaching bow hold?
Yeah, this one, I'm trying to remember. There was not too long ago, I was having a conversation with somebody about another teacher that doesn't really teach bow hold. And I kind of happily said, yeah, I'd like to count myself in that category, with a couple caveats. I mean, if I'm teaching a beginner, then we do talk about where the fingers go on the bow, of course. But I'm very often, with certain aspects of cello playing, I'm doing remediation of some sort. It's like with vibrato again, where they already have a vibrato, but we're trying to get it more this or that, or different types of vibrato. And it's the same sort of thing. Well, that's one of the qualifiers with the bow hold, is that people often have some sort of either a bad habit or a habit that could be better in the way they're holding the bow. But the main reason I don't like to teach a hold as such is because we're always moving the bow. The bow is a moving target. And so I love bow games. I have, just
yes, you do.
dozens of these bow games where the hand has to figure out what it has to do in order to hold on to the bow and do these various activities. And when you're doing it while moving, it's a wonderful thing, I think. It teaches the hand that we're not going to be rigid in the first place. We're not going to be afraid of change. And when change happens, sometimes it is for the worse. Sometimes you end up drifting in a way that you don't want. But if it feels at liberty to change, then we can go back to what we want while we're still bowing. And all the while reassuring our hand that we're not going to drop the bow, because that's one of those things that can also be not a good feeling and causes the thumb to squeeze a lot more. But, Do you have a cello bow handy there?
I do, yeah.
Here, I grabbed the one, this was one that I got from Kreutz violins. I really like these hybrid where I told you about it, right? Where it's Pernambuco and um, carbon fiber.
You did not tell me about that.
Yeah, I'd love to see the machinery, how they do that. But anyway,
Mhm.
it makes for a cool thing.
Yeah, I played with the carbon fiber one in high school,
All right.
with a school bow, and I really liked it a lot.
All right, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things, actually, I was just judging this morning some WSMA with the people out of state, Wisconsin
Mhm.
School Music Association, solo and ensembles, and there are people with all manner of bow holds, as you can imagine. And for certain types, even if they look very non-standard for a particular type of stroke, they're still managing just fine. But one of the advantages of this French style bow hold is the ability to go just in a split second on a dime from an off the string stroke to a very sostenuto stroke or what have
Mhm.
you. It's very versatile. But what's kind of funny is just the degree to which over the years, I've seen some very good players do some very interesting things with their bow holds, that are
Yeah.
not necessarily what you read in a book. Let me think of some examples. I was talking with David Kaplan about this earlier this week about,
Okay.
let's see, like a very hooked second finger. Can you see how second finger is
Interesting.
way, way
Yeah, I can.
so hooked under
Like,
the bow that I don't even need my thumb,
yeah, that's
which
weird.
but if you think about it, there's certain types of strokes, or even in certain situations where your hand is fatigued, you're playing a long opera in a pit or something,
Hmm.
and just even to give another finger a break. And then of course there's kind of the George Nykrug school, which is more violinistic
Hmm.
to put the pinky up on top of the stick. And
Hmm.
I mean, it works. Some people knock it, but it works. Um, I'm thinking there's also the very draped school where the fingers are
Yeah,
very, very far, of which I'm not as much a
I'm
fan
not a
for
huge
sure.
fan of.
And one that I really don't like at all is the hooked first finger because it's just too limiting. There's just
Yeah.
if I'm trying to use first finger to still hold up the bow, then all of the nuance that I need first finger for in a lot of strokes, it feels like it has none of those options that it has when it's free to pivot to swivel on
Hmm.
the bow. So I'm not a fan of that one. You think, was there any others? But at any rate, I think it hopefully kind of makes the point of that's why we do these various bow games.
Yeah.
Hold the bow backwards, and
Yeah.
Pinky having to counterbalance a lot. And you know what I should do? I should put on my website my favorite bow games. But I mean, you've seen how some of them you
Yeah, we've done them a lot in lessons together.
Yeah,
A lot of
and
them.
in some cases, a description of what to do, kind of like, well, do they mean this? So actually,
Yeah.
maybe the better situation would be just a few more of those
Hmm.
videos, just short videos walking through how to do each of those
Hmm.
bow games. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, we need the mindset of the bow is always changing from up bow to down bow. And
Yeah.
last thing, rigidity is the enemy, feeling
Hmm.
like, but this is my bow hold. No, I can't do that.
Yeah, my whole cello, I wouldn't say career, but
Yeah,
the whole time I've been playing cello, I've always held my bow like this.
yeah.
I What was the name for that again?
Yeah, George Nykrug was a
Yeah.
Konstantin Dunas student, and he always had it perched up there on top. And I mean, there are pluses to it. I did that when I was there at Boston,
Hmm.
and there are pluses. That's the thing, is that you see some aspect of a bow hold that's different from what you're doing, and it's easy to think, oh,
Hmm.
that bow hold's not right, or maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But in most cases, it's okay, what are the trade-offs? That gives me more something on
Exactly.
legato strokes, but it gives me less this on these sorts of strokes.
Yeah.
So very often the bow hold evolves even throughout a single piece, depending on the bow stroke that you need at the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Stability.
Next question.
Yeah.
You say there are some things that are more important in the practice room than the repertoire would lead you to believe. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, every so often, again, all of you and your studio mates have heard me say certain things enough times and you know what I mean by it. But every so often, if on a school visit, I'll say something like that, and people kind of furrow their brows. But I do believe that if we were just to go on the basis of how often various things show up in the cello repertoire and determine what we thought was their importance in the practice room based on that, that we would, I mean, it's not like we'd never get from where we're going from here to there, but I think there are certain things that I know I value more in the practice room than what I find them in the repertoire. So double stops is an example. There can be, there sometimes when I play an entire program without any double stops in it. And yet in the practice room, if you heard me practicing the repertoire, I'm creating double stops out of intervals on adjacent strings that were written separately, but I'm playing them as double stops to get them in tune and to get them to where the hand is working as a team. All sorts of things like double stops definitely play a very, very big role in a lot of types of practicing in the practice room, even if on stage you don't play them much at all at the given moment.
Yeah.
Another example is string crossings. Again, this was another one we did in one of the cello seminars where, of course, we can think of pieces that have an awful lot of string crossing in them, but then you can find some with very few or none. The Paganini variations on one string. There's no string crossing. You stay on the A string the whole time. And yet, if somebody were practicing, even for a piece like that, the control of the bow, of the rotation of the bow, is it's so valuable in terms of shaping a note, shaping a phrase, the inner workings of small dynamics that make for a beautifully shaped phrase are related to that this how much I'm carving into the string. And so the more I practice string crossings, incredibly smooth string crossings and all sorts of patterns, the more I feel like I have this micro nuance level of control for all sorts of aspects with the subtleties of the right hand. Just harmonics, that the Mott's exercise of shifting from harmonic to harmonic, where, yes, there are some pieces that involve a fair number of harmonics, but I think it's good to keep harmonics as a staple in things like your warm-up routine for shifting exercises, or even just for using harmonics as a landmark to find high notes, even if you don't intend to play them. Once you get on stage, that all becomes behind the scenes stuff that the audience never find out. Wow, how's that person just able to pick that high note seemingly out of the blue? And it's up to you whether you tell them or not. But we know that things like using harmonics in the practice room a lot can help with things like that.
I also think something else that can help, me being a piano player as well, I think that you don't have to play every note, but I think that if you play little bits of parts from your repertoire on the piano, I think that would also really help, because not only is the piano in tune, if it's a half step, you have it right in front of you, or if it's a big jump, all the answer, the keyboard is your answer. I think that could also help a lot.
Yeah, Christopher Bunting would totally agree with you on that. And Bunting also thought that for cellist string players, to spend some time on the piano is also good
Yeah,
with the
for piano or
finger strength and
fingertips.
independence, right? I
Yeah.
mean, because we do our foillard and our finger independence exercises,
Hmm.
but sometimes doing that same sort of exercise without the cello in your hands allows you to kind of just abstract that independence in a way. So for example, when you're playing on piano, there's no temptation to clamp with the thumb like there is.
Correct.
You still have that bad
Yeah.
habit when you're holding a cello,
Hmm.
things like that. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The
Yeah.
How many times can I bet we can all think of situations where we're playing a very chromatic piece and you're putting your finger down, you're going, yeah, I think this is where this finger goes, but the brain is still not convinced. And then, like what you're saying, you go
That
over to the piano and it's literally black and white, and now you know.
Yeah, when I first got the planets with Mars, where it goes from D flat to B flat to A flat, the piano really helped for that to have me hear the notes as well, get that in my brain. It was really nice.
And so I know you and I will look forward to a weekend of practicing for our various you with the planets and such,
Yep,
and my concert tomorrow night and such. And then we'll wish everybody out there similar
that's right.
joy and success with your practicing. And we'll
Hmm.
meet back here at 5 o'clock next Friday. Thank
Great.
you, everybody.
You had me
All right.
at Jello, Jello. You had me at Jello.